Rarely has a film inspired such outspoken protests.
Film is about promoting violence and hatred.
On its opening night in New York, Jewish protesters in concentration camp uniforms. They claim the Passion of Christ casts Jews as Jesus killers.
This is a film, I say this as a rabbi, that has virtually no positive theological message. Its message is only that Jews were responsible for the murder of Jesus.
Raw and graphic it certainly is. The film, financed by Mel Gibson himself, charts the last tortuous hours of Christ's life. The verdict of its first audiences as mixed as its reviews. Apparently too much for some. At this cinema in Kansas, a woman collapsed and died of a heart attack. And certainly not short of publicity. The Passion is expected to cover its costs in its first weekend. Emma Kennedy, ITV News.
Back here, every year, millions of victims of crime are left to cope alone without any help from the criminal justice system. That's according to a new report by the charity Victim Support. It says victims and witnesses receive little or no support if crimes don't actually come to court. Well, joining me now from our Westminster studio is Liz Clark. Liz, I believe you were the victim of an attempted rape. What happened in your case? Were you neglected?
Well, I didn't actually get any help initially at all. I had to find the help myself. I had the attempted rape some time ago, and the attacker fled. He was never found or never caught, and the files just went astray somewhere. And basically, I was left to sort out my own help, really.
Well, what do you think should be done about that?
Well, I think it is a lot better now compared to it was then, but I still think there's only 11,000 volunteers that are working for victim support, and there definitely needs to be more money ploughed into victim support, and perhaps other organisations can get involved, local authorities, businesses. You know, there's lots of people that can get involved. I mean, if you look at health and safety at work is looking after the people that you employ, and I think that should come under it as well.
And what is your message to those who may find themselves in a similar situation to you? What should they do?
I think victim support are there for everybody, regardless of situation, creed, colour, etc. They are there for you, and I think just have to make sure you know that.
Well, Liz Clark in our Westminster studio, thank you very much indeed.
That's okay.
Well, that's it just for the moment. I'll be back in a few minutes with the headlines on a day when Claire Short, former Cabinet Minister, has been claiming that Britain bugged or spied on in one way or another the UN Secretary-General before the Iraq War. First, though, it's over to ITV newsrooms around the country for the latest Where You Are.
Good afternoon from Anglia News. First, this lunchtime, members of the public who call out the fire brigade could soon be billed for hundreds of pounds for their services. Fire brigades across the region are considering charging around £250 for call-outs that aren't emergencies. Mike Cartwright reports from Bedfordshire.
There's a right way and a wrong way to set up a downstream safety line. But if it's set up wrong, you may well kill someone.
Learning to save lives in the water, just one of the skills this fire crew from Bedford need to know. They're called out for all kinds of reasons and not just to fight fires. But in the future, if you dial 999, you could face a bill. If this was a real emergency rescue, then the fire brigade say there wouldn't be a charge. But soon, if you phone for help from the fire services, it could cost you around £250. And that's an hourly rate. The fire service say it's needed to cover their costs.
We attend a wide range of incidents, including trapped animals, people locked out of their houses, people shutting lifts, sometimes operations on the roads, which have no direct life threat. And then the draft bill proposes to give us the opportunity to charge for that, to cost recover. And it seems entirely appropriate that any new legislation would give us that opportunity.
Fire brigades have had the authority to charge for call-outs for the last 50 years. Many haven't, but new powers from government will encourage them to do so. The Fire Brigades Union say that's wrong.
The public have already paid for their fire service. Now, there are humanitarian welfare issues. The rule is this: if people are in trouble, they think the fire brigade is going to be there to assist them. Our members want to do that work. So if the situation is there where they can assist the members of the public, then that's what they want to do.
In Luton, many thought the charge was much too expensive.
Most people probably wouldn't be able to afford to pay that sort of money.
I think it's crazy. You pay for it through taxes, now you have to pay for it private too. It's just insane, really, isn't it?
They should charge about £10 or £15 or £20, especially pensioners. I mean, pensioners haven't got a lot of money, have they?
A decision on charging is still to be made, but it could be in use in Bedfordshire by the summer. Mike Cartwright, Anglia News, Bedford.
Local football referees in Bedfordshire have voted to go on strike after one of them had his jaw broken by a player when he awarded a late penalty. Darren Flanagan needed 2 metal plates and 9 screws fitted into his jaw after an altercation with players during a Bedford and District League match. Now his fellow referees say they want a day of action to get the message across to players that bad behaviour won't be tolerated. The attack on Mr Flanagan is being investigated by the police and the Football Association. A post-mortem examination is being carried out later today on a man who died soon after being found with head injuries in a car park craft Beagle 2. The Rosetta is poised to launch from South America on a 10-year journey to rendezvous with a comet and hopefully land on its surface. Well, now a look at